We made it, fam. Fantasy football is finally here. Are you ready to dominate your league? That's why you're here. The Fantasy GOAT has just what you need, just what the doctor ordered, and yes, we have one of those on the panel. It's go time. The Fantasy GOAT and Week 1 start right now.
Who starts? Who sits? And how to become the greatest of all time. This is the Fantasy GOAT, sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
Hello and welcome. This is the Fantasy GOAT. I'm your host, Mike Davis, here with a great panel of fantasy football experts. Joining the show today, we have Ian Ritchie, co-founder of Full-Time Fantasy and a former #1 ranked fantasy player in the entire world. We have Jason Feinberg, a fantasy football enthusiast, one of my best friends, and commissioner of the Dr. Feinberg Invitational and the Manning Man Crush League. And joining us all the way from Chicago, Dr. Nithin Natwa at Fantasy Docs on social media, a must-follow now and throughout the fantasy football season. Great to have you guys here with us. So let's kick things off. Okay, so in fantasy football, just like in real life, you either have a quarterback or you don't. And in my opinion, there's 5 elite guys this year: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, and Joe Burrow. Forget about those guys, though, for a second. I want to know which late-round quarterback this year will become Tier 1 next year. Okay, so Jason, which late-round quarterback right now have you fallen in love with?
I haven't fallen in love with him, but I've fallen in love with his surroundings. They've put this gentleman in a position to succeed. It's now up to him. I'm not a big fan of his decision-making, but maybe the new coach, Liam Cohen, and his offensive weapons will be enough to make one Trevor Lawrence a #1 pick, which we wanted his second year, didn't get it, and we haven't gotten it since that.
But what we did get was a great year from rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas.
Yes.
I know, Ian, you're very high on him. Now you add in, Travis Hunter, who they make the big trade, 2nd overall pick with. So now you got a lot of juice on this team. And Liam Cohen, how responsible do we think he is, Ian, for all the success that even Baker has had in Tampa Bay? So it is a good pick, and Jason, a lot of people are going with him.
Yeah.
Where are you on that, Ian?
I think it's a great pick. I mean, he's got great upside, and he's got a great coordinator, like you said. Other than the guy I'm going to name, I think he has great upside and is a good pick.
And Jason, people like the tight end a lot too there, Brenton Strange.
Yes.
So people are buying big on Trevor Lawrence.
And not only that, but they have a huge running back room, and they are, at least 2 of them I know are pass catchers.
Right.
So that can help them out too. I was noticing in the game the other night that Jalen Hurts had to rely on Saquon Barkley quite a bit in the passing game because his wide receivers, I don't know if it's conditioning or what, but they were not open.
No, and it's weird, and we might get a little bit into that as well. But, okay, so, Ian, you like Trevor. Before we get to Dr. Natwa, Ian, tell us your quarterback late round that next year everybody's going to be reaching to grab.
I think the easy one's C.J. Stroud, but that's not the one I'm going to give you today. I think C.J. Stroud's good for 4,000 yards this year, and I think he's going to establish himself next year as a top-tier quarterback. That's not as surprising. Caleb Williams is my guy. I think Ben Johnson going there to the Bears, to Chicago, right, to work with him and put that offense that they had in Detroit, will go very well for Caleb. He guaranteed over 4,000 yards this year for Caleb Williams. So if he can build off that year over year, look for Caleb Williams to blow up this year.
There's a lot of studs in Chicago. You got Luther Burden, you got Rome Odunze, you got Cole Kmet, you got Colston Loveland, you got DJ Moore. A lot of studs there. You got to produce now. The other stud that's in Chicago is Dr. Nithin Natwa. Dr. Nithin Natwa, tell us, are you big on Caleb as well? Who is your late-round quarterback you have fallen in love with?
I do love Caleb, and unfortunately he has my Lions coach to mentor him a little bit further. I watched him in college, and he was a stud. I think that he's got a great opportunity to take over. I personally like Michael Penix, and I think he's got a lot of tools to succeed over there in Atlanta, and I think that he's got a great connection with Drake London. I think those last couple of weeks of the last season, they went off on a stellar connection. And then he's got Bijan as a safety valve to kind of give him some relief in that regard. So I think he's a super athletic quarterback who's able to make a deep throw, and I like him really to explode onto the scene about a season.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Of course, Zach Robinson, great offensive coordinator from that Sean McVay tree. So a lot of good stuff happening in hot Atlanta. Now from quarterback to running back, I should say. Next up, we're breaking down the plethora of intriguing rookie running backs. There's so many out there. Who do you want? We got the details next.
You're watching the Fantasy Go, sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
This season, there's a lot to chew on when it comes to rookie running backs, from G.O.A.T and Hampton to Henderson, Harvey, and Johnson. Heck, even Bayshul Tootin. I don't know. Going to shul with Tootin, that might be a good Jewish,
You darn tootin'.
So tootin' my horn. Go in the shul. Anyway, good fantasy football name there. Ian, fast forward to the end of the season. When all is said and done, which rookie running back is going to have the best fantasy football season?
I think it's Amari and Hampton. I think you brought him up, and I think he's in a great situation with L.A. I think Harbaugh loves him. They love to run the football. He's got Najee Harris in there to help him out at the end of the year, so he doesn't hit a rookie wall. I do like Travion Henderson, but I just believe in the system they're running in L.A. I believe that they're going to fall in love with Hampton by the end of the year, and I believe he'll be a first-round draft pick next year.
Yeah, Harbaugh loves running the football. Hampton, we all remember that crazy viral image before minicamp or training camp. Hampton just looks like a big boy. The guy can play football. It's going to be exciting to see him in that L.A. offense. Now, Dr. Natwa, there's a lot of juice here in Vegas about the guy I think that you are in love with. You're trying not to overcomplicate things, right?
Yeah, he's going as the first overall running back off the board in most cases. And I like him to just kind of do what Josh Jacobs did a couple years ago and come on strong as a rookie, put up, over 1,000 plus 2,000 scrimmage yards, and possibly just cement himself as once again the first, well, not the first running back, but the first running back off the board next season, as he's the first rookie running back this season.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. Producer James and I actually met him in person. The dude is, might be shorter than me, but he's a lot stronger than me, Jason. Ashton Genty, a lot of people fall in love with him. I haven't been lucky enough to scoop him up in any leagues, but I have gotten some tastes of the other rookie running backs. Where's your feelings lie on this whole matter?
Yeah, I'm not going to complicate things either. Ian was saying that Harbaugh likes to run the ball. Well, Pete Carroll likes to run the ball too, unless it's the big game on the last play and you need him to run the ball. But other than that, I'm going to go with Ashton Genty, and not so much because I think he's that much better than Hampton. I just think that he is the only guy in town, whereas I think Najee is going to take up a little bit more time than, let's say, Mostert or Zamir.
Right.
So basically, it's going to be a quantity and hopefully quality, and that's going to take him to the top.
Yeah, I think Genty. They also put a lot of capital into that selection. Early in the first round. So, Hampton was late in the first round. Travion second round. Caleb Johnson later round. So Genty went early. It's similar to Jacksonville, where Travis Hunter needs to play because they put a lot of draft capital into acquiring him. So I'm there with you guys on the Genty thing.
I was just going to say, I'm like you, though, when it comes to fantasy football. For some reason, when his name is there and it's my pick kind of later in the first round, there's always somebody I want better. That's right. Or I think is going to be better, and it's usually a wide receiver.
It seems like getting the end of the first round when you're in a 10-team league and you got the turnaround, or the 12-team league and you get the turnaround, it works. But question for everybody out there, because I know producer James is going to be very happy I'm asking this question. We've mentioned a lot of rookie running backs. Of course, Liam Cohen is excited about Tootin's speedy running back there. But Quinshon Judkins, a problem guy in Cleveland, still not signed. If you go on your leagues, you see he's a free agent. He's not even signed to Cleveland yet, who drafted him and who have his draft rights. Where do we stand on Judkins? Is it worthwhile to scoop this guy up on the waiver wire or even draft him if you still have some leagues? Ian, what's your take on Judkins?
He's definitely worth a roster spot. I think if you take Jerome Ford and you take Judkins, then you lock up a backfield. I think Judkins is by far the most explosive back on that team. He's one of the best running backs in the whole rookie class. He's got some legal problems. There's a suspension looming. They're not sure how long that'll take. But I think about halfway through the season, he'll end up taking that job over from Jerome Ford, and then he will have a great rest of the year.
Okay. All right. And real quickly, Dr. Natwa, we have you here. I definitely want to ask you this as we have a little bit more time. Christian McCaffrey, I know a lot of us have scooped him up. Of course, not a rookie, but just an extra question to get your expert advice here. How are you dealing with the fallout from McCaffrey not practicing on Thursday?
Yeah, well, my DMs are not a happy place to be because I was pretty high on Christian McCaffrey in the preseason. So a lot of people are not too happy with me. But I think that we saw him out on the practice field today. I think the videos just dropped and they saw him sprinting, high steps, heel taps. It seems like with his significant history of Achilles tendonitis and how long he missed last season, that if it was a real big red flag symptom that he was, at risk for a multi-week absence again, that they would have not even put him out there after he possibly strained or aggravated something yesterday. My way that I'm approaching it, though, is if I have Brian Robinson, I'm only doing equal trades. If someone tries to offer me another kind of running back that they took in the first round or maybe even early second round, I'm not panic selling Christian McCaffrey at this point in time.
All right. All right, good to know. All right, guys, still to come. We all want a Puka Nacua in our life. That's why I personally wear a Puka bead necklace 24/7, even in the shower. Now, if we don't have one in our life, then we want to find the next one. Coming up, we're going to tell you how you can find the next Puka in your life. Welcome back to the Fantasy GOAT. Here on the show, our commissioner's choice of the week is none other than Jalen Hurts. Kicking off the 2025 season on Thursday, Hurts threw for 152 yards and rushed for 62 and 2 touchdowns, scooping up 25 points for managers. He might just be the safest start in all of fantasy football. And now for the commissioner's choice of the week from La Bonita, let's go shopping. This season on the Fantasy Go, we're partnering with La Bonita Supermarkets, and that's why I'm here in Green Valley, Henderson, with Armando, talking all things about their Commissioner Choice specials. But let's start from the beginning. It's apropos we're here in the meat market because that's where La Bonita started back in '91.
Yeah, so this is Carniceria La Bonita. That was the beginning. That's how the company started. Carniceria just means meat market. This is where we have all our beefs. This is your barbecue central. So marinated meats, we make our own marinades in-house. We have homemade longaniza, carne asada, marinated chicken, whatever you need for barbecues.
Okay, all the different cuts. Barbecue season is football season. Now, let's talk about this. Each and every week, you're giving us a commissioner's choice. What's the commissioner's choice this week?
This week, if you buy 3 pounds of the ranchera, that's the beef flat meat, the ranchera, you can get a free package of tortillas from our homemade tortillas here in the La Bonita.
That's a sleeper special right there. You got to mention 7 locations here in the Valley, 8 coming. But tell us, if we want to become a part of the team, a part of Club La Bonita, to take advantage of these specials, what do we have to do?
It's real easy. You can sign up at each La Bonita when you check out, or just text the word La Bonita to 87573, and you can start saving on these great specials.
Okay, there you go. Take out your phone, text La Bonita to 87573, become a member of the team, a member of the squad, and good luck this fantasy football season.
You're watching the Fantasy GOAT, sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Fantasy GOAT. Mike Davis with a great panel of Jason Feinberg, Ian Ritchie, a full-time fantasy, and Dr. Nithin Natwa at Fantasy Docs on social media. So listen, we all want a great love in our life. I know I do. I personally want Jennifer Aniston, but listen, I'm comfortable settling for a guy like Puka Nacua. If we didn't get to draft Puka Nacua, then we want to try to find someone who can become that player. Some experts think it might be somebody here locally in Vegas, Dante Thornton, a wide receiver here, that could be that next guy. Dr. Natwa, is Thornton the next Puka in your mind, in your world? And if he isn't, who is?
I mean, he's been making waves in camp, and his measurables are unparalleled. I think he's got measurables only that Calvin Johnson and Randy Moss have. 4.3 second, 40, and then a 6.5 height. So he's set up for success. Then we have Amari Cooper retiring. We have him named starter over Beck, who everyone thought was going to be the starter. So, I mean, if we're going to bet on a rookie wide receiver that, you didn't really have to spend that much draft capital on, I think that he's the best bet to go for it.
Yeah, a lot of people are falling in love with him. Jack Besh from TCU, a lot of people liked him as well, second-round pick, but Thornton gaining a lot of steam. Ian, you have some good insight on a guy like Thornton, because I think a lot of people think he's more of a speedier, slimmer frame guy, but you're comparing him more to a DK. Metcalf.
I look at him like a DK Metcalf clone, and that's really what Pete Carroll likes. Pete Carroll was in a bromance with DK in Seattle. He drafted him, and they had this great conversation, fell in love with each other. And I really feel like when Pete came down here to Las Vegas, he wanted to find his DK, and he found a 6'5", 4.3 runner who can go up and make a play on the ball, and he found his DK Metcalf replacement. And I think that's a really great spot in Pete's offense, and he's counting on it. And I think Doc is right. Amari Cooper retiring is a huge statement.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that means everything. That means to me, Amari realized he wasn't the number 2 or the number 1 there. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think you got to read the tea leaves when you see things like that. And listen, I'm a guy, I walk around town locally. People think I'm DK Metcalf for my same body frame.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I know it's interesting. We both eat a lot of candy. DK has an interesting diet. But Jason, what about you? You have somebody I think you're going to mention who I've fallen in love with too and has a good showing in Detroit.
Yeah, and plus the way that you phrased it, Mike, the question, it's not only the talent of Puka Nacua, it's the name. So you need a good name, and that name is Isaac Tesla. I mean, that is the equivalent of Puka Nacua, just not as exotic. But I mean, come on, man. When your last name is the equivalent of the hot electric car at Elon Musk, you go with it. So yeah, and plus he, like Thornton, made huge waves in training camp, enough to where I think they shipped Tim Patrick away.
Yeah, even in preseason football, we've seen a lot of that. I know Dr. Natwa loves that pick as a Detroit fan. But, yeah, I mean, and listen, that's an offense. I think a lot of people are worried, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator, now head coach in Chicago. You lose Aaron Glenn, who's now the head coach in New York. So just from, I guess, a general standpoint, Ian, I'm curious your take as a former number 1 fantasy football player in the world. How out are you on Detroit in general? I mean, you lose 2 crazy coordinators who are so efficient at their job, so creative in terms of Ben Johnson and drawing up plays. Are you out on a lot of these guys like Amon-Ra and Laporta and Gibbs and Goff, or do you still believe in this team even after they lose all this juice?
Well, from everything they've said, they're going to run the same offense and expand it a little bit. The one that makes me nervous is Montgomery. I feel like that was a special situation with Johnson where he ran with 2 running backs there. He had Montgomery and he had Jahmyr Gibbs. And so, in the new offense, there's a lot of offensive weapons there. Bringing in Tesla, like you mentioned, is another offensive weapon to throw the football. I'm a little concerned about Montgomery getting the same numbers he had last year. So if anybody was going to fall from that offense, it's going to be him. But I expect the other guys to keep around the same numbers, including Laporta.
All right, there you go. Guys, tight end. It gives most fantasy owners heartburn. Don't worry, though. We're telling you what to do if you didn't get a guy like Bowers, McBride, or Kittle.
You're watching the Fantasy Go, sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
All right, for most fantasy managers, tight end is a weekly crapshoot. If you didn't snag Bowers, McBride, or Kittle, that's frankly how it really feels. So what do we do in that situation? Ian, what are you doing in leagues where you don't have one of those top guys at the tight end spot?
Well, the goal is always to find the value, right? Who's going to score the same points that you can get somebody in the 5th, 6th round, 4th round? And so with tight end, you have that opportunity, I think, with a couple guys. I think people have overreacted on Kelsey, and Kelsey has dropped down to the 7th and 8th round in our World Championship drafts, and I think that's an overreaction.
You're not just doing this for Swiftie fans.
Yeah. I'm a big Swiftie guy.
Yeah.
No, I think that he's fallen too far, right? Like he's fallen out of the top 5 in our drafts, but I think he's fallen too far in 7th, 8th round. I think it's a good value. More than that, I really like Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts has an opportunity later on to do great. He's burned so many people the last 2 years, people won't touch him. And what creates a lot of value in that is when you get burned by him, you're hesitant to take him the next year. It's happened 2 years in a row, so you got a lot of people that won't take him. And here's a little insight. This offseason, he and Penix were attached at the hip. They were not only throwing every day and running routes, they played golf every day together. They were literally best friends, and I think Pitts did that on purpose.
Here's the issue. It's like going back to the girlfriend who cheats on you, or just at a certain point, if Pitts, it is good value. It is zagging when other people are zigging, but if he doesn't do what we're hoping he will do, and if he ends up doing what Kyle Pitts always does, I'm going to want to hang myself. And I mean, it's going to be hard, but you really think that connection there, even it's going to be fine?
I think it's going to be great. I mean, honestly, Penix speaks so highly of him, and all through camp he spoke extremely highly of him. They're going to put him out in the slot more. He's not going to block any more on the line.
Yeah, because he's not a tradition. He's really a wide receiver.
He's a wide receiver. He's going to be out there a lot more. And here's what I'll tell you. If you wait and wait and wait and he's your only guy, you'll be okay. If you take a Kelsey or you take a Goddard after last night or somebody else, and then you want him as your backup because you're not willing to take that risk, that'll work out really well.
All right.
For you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good choice there. All right, Dr. Natwa, we got about 2 minutes here. Who's the tight end that you're drafting if you don't get one of those top guys?
I like Hawkinson a lot. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to need a safety valve. He throws over the middle a ton. That's where Hawkinson is. And last year, Hawkinson had a huge drop-off because he was recovering from his ACL, in my opinion. And before that, he was putting up phenomenal numbers. And I expect him to be a candidate for a bounce-back season. So I'm really high on Hawk.
Okay, yeah, Hawkinson. He's one of those guys he's always in that top tier kind of area. So he's a good pick there. Jason, who's your guy?
I have two guys. One of them is the name for the first half of the season, and the second one is in another entity. So the first one is David Njoku.
Okay.
Because here's what's going to happen. Joe Flacco loves him.
Yes.
And Joe Flacco will throw to him, and he will put up some good numbers, and you can get him pretty. Where is he going in the world champion?
He's going 9th, 10th rounds, great value.
9th, 10th round. Now, my second guy is going to blow you guys away. Waiver wire. Yes, because once Flacco gets benched.
What is that, Scottish?
Yeah, once he gets benched, you're going to just have to find the guy that's nobody has taken yet.
Well, that's my tight end. Give fantasy owners and managers a lot of heartburn because, yes, you're constantly scouring the waiver wire to find a guy.
I got one more to throw in late.
We got 30 seconds.
19th, 20th round. You know, they got a lot of injuries in Tampa. Look for K. Otten to do all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? I think they're going to count on Ibuka a lot, which is great, and they got Mike Evans. But look for K. Otten to have a nice
great run last
year. Baker had a nice connection with him.
He does, and so it's another late guy that you can get to help fill your roster.
All right, there you go. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us here on the Fantasy GOAT. I want to thank the great panel, Ian Ritchie, Full-Time Fantasy, Dr. Natwa at Fantasy Docs, and Jason Feinberg. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Mike Davis. We'll be back next week. Thanks to producer James and editor Jess as well. Good luck in week 1.
Woo!
All right, we did it.
Awesome.